Good. Seems that I didn't forget. Okay, we mentioned that before, like the following example. Coordinators are, and or but, like this. When we want to, link two clauses, by using this type of coordinators. So here we said that, we call it coordinating conjunctions. Okay, we call them, the grammatically name of them, coordinating conjunctions. This is the name of it. Okay, which is and, or, and but. Okay, like the following example. Okay, we need a long table and at least 8 chairs. Okay, for example, I want to compound in order, this is a kind of derivation because, in order not to repeat the same sentence by using extra information, like we need a long table, we need at least 8, chairs. So we compound it by using this coordinating conjunctions. Okay, so you either say it that they are coordinating or conjugators or conjunctions. Both names are correct. Okay, this is all about the coordinators. Let me move on to talk about the subordinate. Okay, subordinate clause. You should, be careful this according to by talking about coordinators because, in order to show that your English is advanced, in order to, how skillful and powerful the way you speak English. So we use most of the time subordinators because, whenever you avoid, this is helps to avoid repetition in our speech. Okay, so the most, central members of subordinators category, which is, like that, whether, or if, you know, which, where, who, when, where, all of this we call it subordinators. So here we go. Whenever we have subordinators, okay, we got two clauses, okay? We got the main clause and subordinate clause. The main clause, something that we cannot delete it. We cannot skip it or even, ignore it. Like he did his best, okay? If I want to compound, make it two clauses, I realized that he did his best, okay? That here, it's optional, okay? So we can drop it, we can delete it, okay? We can say that I realized he did his best. So both, the way of speaking or writing are correct because this, most of the subordinators are optional, okay? Now, sorry, let's move on by talking about, if you have any question, just take me. Okay. So according to here we got the concept of prototype. So we usually use, the prototype for the central, okay, members of a categories that do have the full set of distinctive properties. So for example, let me give you the example here. For example, cat and dogs. Here are example of the prototypical nouns, but the equipment is non-prototypical noun. So we got the same, it means like prototypical or the same type of, of something. Like, so cat and dog, here we got, they are the same prototypical, okay, of the noun, which is the name of, we got a common noun, proper noun, and pronoun. This is we mentioned this, of in our previous lecture. So cat and dog, those are the prototypical noun of the name of, animals, which is common noun. While equipment, this is proper noun, okay, which is something is different. Okay, now we will go and start with, here, wait. We will continue talking about the structure of the phrase. We mentioned that also that we got the head of, the noun phrase and the verb phrase, okay? Here we got a phrase. Usually I mentioned also, but I was not recording this point. We call the phrase after the name of the head, okay? So a phrase usually consists of a head, okay, which is accompanied by one or more independents. Okay, اللي بيكون مجموع بعدد من independents. And I mentioned that, but you should attend the lectures. So it is accompanied by one or more independents. Like, for example, here we go. Where is We call it also modifiers, by the way. So here, according to the second point, which is the complement and modifier here, because there's no, they haven't, this book is not provided me in this section with an example, so I will go back to it, to this point in order to, explain it again. According to the complement and modifier, okay, so here the most general distinction is between complements and modifiers as illustrated for verb phrases and noun phrases. We said that modifier is something like يعدل, okay, or معدل. So it depends where is the modifier, in the noun phrase or in the verb phrase. يعني بيعدل يا إما. The phrase we call it in Arabic, I think, شبه جملة, okay? So بيعدل شبه الجملة الفعل أو الاسم. It depends. Like the following example here. For example, this is the first one. Pay attention for these examples, okay? The first one here. He kept her letters for years. He kept her letters for years. So here, this is subject, okay, which is pronoun. Okay, while kept her letters for, kept her letters for years, this is what we call it the verb phrase. Okay, all of it, this is the verb phrase. According to the second example, she regularly gives us very useful advice on financial matters. She regularly give us a very useful advice on financial matters. So very useful advice on financial matters. All of them, they are, all of these words, we call them noun phrase. So let's move on. Here we got the object and predictive complement. The object and predictive complement. So let's read the examples first. Okay, then I will demonstrate the rule. Here we go, according to the object. Okay, usually we consider the object actually in a sentence like a predictive complement. Okay, but there is a differences between them. Okay, we will illustrate that in this following example. The first example, I met a friend of yours. I met a friend of yours. So here the underline, a friend of yours, this is the object of the sentence. Where is the object located? The object, usually located or always after the verb. Okay, after the verb. So here, I met the object in Arabic, we call it مفعول به. Okay, so I met a friend of yours. Well, here, she was a friend of yours. Why? Here we call it predictive complement. Okay, and here we call it the object. Because in the first one, I'm so sure that this is, the one I met, okay, he's the one who's a friend of yours. While in the second, she was a friend of yours, just like kind of I'm predicting, okay? Now let's move to the second sentence. Sam appointed to a real idiot. Sam appointed a real idiot. So a real idiot, he turns to be like a real idiot. So a real idiot, here this is the object after the verb appointed. The second sentence, I felt a real idiot because this is predictive. Okay? I mention what the predictive means. Predictive like تنبؤي, something that يعني تكملة تنبؤية. We use it after the verb. Okay? The third example, very friendly can't be an object. Okay. Okay. Yes, very friendly. Because usually object can, usually the object is noun phrase. So here, very friendly, which is which is an adverb. Friendly also an adverb. So we usually don't use two adverbs as an object of a sentence. Okay, they are modifiers. Okay, they seemed very friendly. So here, very friendly, we cannot consider it as an object of the sentence because very friendly, this is two objects modifies each other, okay, after the verb seem, so they cannot be an object in any sentence, okay? Okay, so here we go. Also the point which is determiner. Like the following example, the dog part. I need a key. Also we mentioned in the previous lecture, okay, we mentioned in the previous lecture about when do we use the and when do we use a. So determinators, okay, which are, like the, a, and an. So you need just to memorize, okay, them clearly, okay, because you will need this information later on when you want to speak, to write, and whatever. This point I'm not going to talk about. So here we got subordinator and coordinators. We discussed two issues. I don't want to repeat the same point. So hold on. So as for today, I'm going to continue with the noun, with the noun and noun phrases. Okay. Actually, because these two information is very important for you guys. Wait, I'm searching on the page. Here. Okay. Noun and noun phrase. So we mentioned that the noun phrase, okay, usually occurs as object or subject in the sentence. While here we need also to know that there are so many functions of the noun phrase in any sentence. It might be subject, it might be object, it might be predictive complement, it might be in preposition structure complement. Okay? Like we were talking to a student. So to a student here we call it preposition phrase. Okay? And also here we go. According to predictive complement, like she is a student because I'm predicting that. She is a student, I'm not sure. So we call it this is predictive complement. As an object, they elected a student. As a subject, a student helped us. So we got, as we mentioned, four, okay, four main functions for the noun phrases, which is subject, object, predictive complement, and preposition phrase or preposition structure complement. Okay, now let's move on. I'm sorry. Let's move on. Okay, so here we got some words, distinctive properties of prototypical noun. We mentioned that according to the noun, we got two inflection of the noun, okay, which is might be singular or might be plural here, which is might be singular or might be plural, okay, but also we should not ignore that they might be the inflection of nouns might be number or case. According to case, might be plain or genitive. What does it mean this? Genitive means مضاف إليه. So here we are talking about تصريف تصريف الاسم في الجملة. So الاسم في الجملة بينعكس بشكلين، إما بشكل أرقام أو بشكل حالة. الأرقام بالنسبة لموضوع الأرقام ممكن يكون مفرد وممكن يكون جمع. بالنسبة لموضوع الحالة ممكن يكون plain وممكن يكون genitive. الجينيتيف as I said اللي هي المضاف إليه. So let's read the following example. Here we go. Student, which is the singular, while the plural students, and with this is regular also, according to the genitives يلي هي لما أنا بدي أعمل إضافة للاسم. So students here إذا كان sorry in this one, let me erase this. In this one, in the first, in the first example as singular, if if the noun is singular here, we put apostrophe s. While if the noun is plural, if the noun plural, we put just the apostrophe after the s of the plural. So we got plain case. This is plain case. It means حالة سهلة we call it. Plain. This is something that normal, the normal situation of the noun. While genitive مضاف إليه لما بدي يكون في اسم عائد على اسم تاني. Like for example, students classroom. Like this. So here we say that nouns can normally fill the head position in a phrase, with any of the floor function. يعني الاسم بيكون هو الرأس تبع أي شبه جملة بأي function بأي عمل from the four function that I mentioned before. Let's continue. Here we go. Do you have any questions so far, guys? Okay. We mentioned previously that, in each noun there is each noun phrase, we got something what we call it dependence. Okay. So what are dependents? Dependents usually can be, modifiers, determiners, okay, like this. So there are various kind of dependents that occur, okay, in the noun as a head or the noun phrase. Like the following examples. They can be, certain determinatives, which is like the dog here. Let me highlight them. يعني بيجوا داعمين للاسم. Okay, determinatives. الديترميناتيفز هن الارتكلز يعني هن أداة التعريف الانفاينايت والديفاينايت اللي هن أداة التعريف النكرة أو النكرة والتعريف. Okay. Like the dog, a year, every book, which paper. All of this, we call them determinatives, okay, or determinators. So that is determinator, okay. Determinatives is the category of them. Determinator is the function. Pay attention, we mentioned this. The second example, pre-head adjectives like, okay, يعني what does it mean? Pre-head adjectives يعني مثل إنه صفة قبل الhead. For example, a beautiful girl. So a here is determinator. Beautiful, okay, this is also modifier and adjective. A girl, this is noun. Okay, like young children, big only, a big dog, recent events. So all of these we call it, dependence also, the same meaning. The third function of, the dependence, which is relative clause, like the guy who fainted. Fainted يعني أغمى عليه. The book I'm reading. Here, pay attention in this sentence. Here in this sentence, we got something what we call it, it should be the book that I am reading, okay? But that here is dropped. So because it's optional, okay? Is it clear so far? Okay, let's move on. Here is the same, here is the same point. Okay, they are saying, they are, mentioning in the previous passage, they mentioned the categories, but here they are demonstrating, okay, they are demonstrating the, the function of them, okay? So the type of dependence can be determinators, complements, modifiers. Let's start with determinators. The first one, the news, appear, some cheese, two new films, no reason, okay? For example, complements, complements, the loss of blood. So of blood is the complement of the loss of the blood. So here, a ban on smoking, يعني ban يعني منع من التدخين. The fact that she's alive. Okay, so that she's alive here complement, which is subordinator clause. Okay, because we use that, which is subordinator. Now here we got modifiers like a young man. We mentioned that pre-head adjectives. So this is the category of it. A young woman, a friend from Boston, people who complain. All of them, we consider them like modifiers. For example, here, a young woman, here, a young woman. Here, young, this is an adjective, which is the category of it, okay? but we call it modifier، معدلة للاسم، لأنه عم بتضيف لي أو عم بتعدل لي الاسم، عم تعطيني extra information. That's why we call it modifier. Okay. So a young woman. Okay. Here, young, the category of it adjective, but its function as modifiers. Okay. Here in this map, there is, two examples about noun phrases. Okay, here is the example. The guy who fainted. So this is the all of it, the guy who fainted, we call it noun phrase. The determinator, okay, the determinator the, which is the function. Determinative, this is the category. The head noun, this is the guy. Okay, usually the head of the noun phrase should be the noun. Okay, because without it we cannot understand everything. For example, the who fainted, we don't understand anything. Okay, that's why we call it the head. Here we got who fainted. Who fainted, this is, we call it relative clause or subordinate clause, the same. Okay, the same. So because in this book we mentioned the subordinators, or so let me just repeat it. It's the same. Relative clause and subordinate clause, this is the same. We use the subordinators like who, okay, and with verb fainted. A young woman, a young woman. So here a young, this is determinator. Young, we say that it's modifier, which is an adjective. Okay, we said that adjective is the category of it, while the function is modifier. And woman here is the head of noun, and I have mentioned this point before. Okay. So until this point, okay, I'll finish up my lecture. Guys, if you have any question, you can ask me. You can text me anytime. Okay. I wish that you got the chance to watch the lectures first. Then please try to attend all of the lecture, not to miss any point. Okay. Although the subject is, about the grammar, but you should be familiar with this information. Okay. Because in order to compose any sentence correctly, so you should be familiar with this information, guys. Okay. Tomorrow we will continue. Thanks for all and see you soon.